Hello and welcome back to the Tipitaka Insight. Well, we have finally made it to the end of this series. Today, we are looking at the fourth and final rule of defeat.
That is right, and honestly, I have to say this one is very unique. It is not about violence or physical acts. It is really about the truth of one's own heart.
Oh, I see. Now, I've heard this one is all about lying, but wait a minute. Can just a single lie really end a monk's spiritual life forever? That sounds like a very harsh penalty, doesn't it?
Well, normally a small lie is a lesser offense, but the Fourth Pārājika is about a very specific and dangerous kind of lie. We are talking about the deliberate lie of claiming superhuman powers or spiritual attainments, like jhana or enlightenment, that a person does not actually have.
Oh, wow. So it is basically about spiritual faking. I mean, where did a rule like that even come from?
Well, it actually happened during a great famine in the Vajjian country, right by the banks of the Vaggumudā River. Food was so scarce that monks were literally starving. So a group of monks there made let's call it a strategic plan. They decided to praise each other's spiritual levels to the lay people.
No way. Are you serious? You mean they actually lied and said their friends were saints just so they could get more food?
Exactly. One would say, oh, this monk has reached the first jhana, or this monk can see the future. And of course, the lay people believed them. They gave them all the best alms food, thinking they were supporting high-level arahants, while the honest monks nearby had nothing to eat.
Oh man, that feels like a massive betrayal of the trust people have in the Sangha.
It really is. When the news reached the Buddha, he did not just call it a lie, he called them the greatest thieves. He said, a thief who steals gold is bad, but a monk who steals the faith and offerings of the people by lying about his heart is far, far worse.
I see. But I guess it isn't easy to accidentally break this rule, right? There must be a specific way it happens.
You are right. There are actually 4 things that must happen at the same time for it to be a defeat. First, the monk must know he hasn't achieved the state. Second, he must have the intent to deceive. Third, he must make the claim. And fourth, the other person must actually understand what he's saying. If the person doesn't understand him, it's not a pārājika.
That is very precise. But what if he doesn't say, I am an arahant directly? What if he just hints at it?
That is a dangerous area. The Vinaya warns about indirect claims too. For example, if a monk says, the person living in this hut is an enlightened one, and he means himself, he's in trouble. Depending on how he says it, and if people understand him, it could still be a very serious offense.
Okay. But I have another what-if question. What if a monk isn't sure if he has achieved anything, but then another monk tells him, hey, I think you're an arahant, and he starts to believe it and tells others? Is that a pārājika?
That's a great point. If he truly believes it based on what someone else said, meaning he isn't actually trying to lie, then it is not a pārājika. The Buddha calls this overestimation. It's a mistake of the mind, not a deliberate theft of faith.
Okay, that makes sense. But what if a monk actually has achieved a high level, but he tells people just to boast or show off, rather than to get food or fame?
Well, if he actually has the achievement, he is not defeated. However, he still commits a lesser offense. You see, the Buddha wanted monks to be humble. Even if it is the absolute truth, boasting is considered improper behavior for a monk.
I see. Now, here's a tricky one. What if a monk is just walking calmly and behaving well, but a random evil thought pops into his head saying, I hope people see how calm I am and think I'm enlightened? His heart doesn't actually want to lie, but the thought comes anyway. Is he in trouble?
The Vinaya is very compassionate there. If he does not act on that thought or intentionally try to trick people with his behavior, he is not guilty. An evil thought that comes and goes is just a mental hindrance. As long as his true intention is to just walk mindfully, he is safe.
I see, but wait. At that moment, the monk is actually being controlled by greed, right? He's thinking, I want people to see how calm or composed I am. So technically, he's not being mindful at all. If his mind is full of greed for praise, how can he still be safe from the rule?
You are absolutely right about his mental state. At that specific moment, his mindfulness has failed, and he is indeed under the influence of greed for reputation. In terms of Dhamma practice, that's definitely a stain on his heart. However, you have to remember that the Vinaya is a legal code. For a Pārājika defeat to happen, there must be a deliberate claim, mostly through speech, but it can also be through implication or suggestion. If he is just walking and the greed is only inside his head, he has not yet stolen the faith of the people. He's guilty of a wrong thought, which he should recognize and abandon, but he hasn't crossed the legal line into being a great thief yet.
That is a relief. So just like the other rules, are there official exceptions where there is no defeat?
Yes, absolutely. The Vinaya lists 4 main groups who are not guilty. First, as we mentioned, those who overestimate their own progress. Second, those who are insane or mentally deranged. Third, those who are overwhelmed by pain, unconscious, or severely ill. And finally, the original group of monks at the Vaggumudā River, because the rule didn't exist when they did it.
Wow, this whole series has been such an eye-opener. The 4 Pārājikas are like the 4 walls of a spiritual fortress. They protect a monk from lust, greed, violence, and now spiritual dishonesty.
Precisely. It shows that being a monk is about a level of honesty and purity that is truly inspiring. When these 4 rules are kept, the community stays strong.
I have learned so much. It really makes me realize that the Dhamma is built on truth. I truly hope our listeners now have a clear insight into these boundaries.
I hope so too. Thank you for joining us for this deep inquiry into the Vinaya Pitaka.
This concludes our series on the 4 Pārājikas. Thank you for watching the Tipitaka Insight. We'll see you in the next series.